Welcome to another edition of How to Fix It Yourself with Dave and Dave. Today we're going to work on an issue that's going on with the the driver's side rear door, and it has to do with the handle. These handles have a spring inside that breaks sometimes, and while it doesn't completely affect the ability of the handle to open or close the door, it does rattle and it kind of gets in the way. So today we're going to go ahead and show you how to fix that and how to replace that handle. We have a replacement handle that we've purchased that we're going to go ahead and put in there. So in order to be able to replace the door handle, we've got to remove the door panel first. And in order to remove the door panel, we've got to pop this little cover off here, which gets access to a bolt in here. There's another bolt that sits right here. So we've got to then also pull this trim piece off. We don't need to remove the handle, we just need to remove the trim piece. And we need to pop the arm holder for the window switch here up and disconnect that. Now ultimately what that's going to do is give us access into this part of the door so that we can then take out the latching mechanism here and get at the door handle underneath these two grommets. And that'll get us access into being able to replace the door handle. All right, so now that we've got the door panel off and the vapor barrier off, so the next thing you want to do is go ahead and take these two grommets off. You might need a little bit of a screwdriver to help get them off, but you can get them off with just your hands. Even though this is a real old car and these have been out in the weather for a long time, the rubber is still nice and soft. So that'll get you into these two nuts, which are 10mm nuts. And so we'll want to loosen those. And then the other thing we need to do is before we pop this completely loose, we'll start these and get it kind of loose, is then we'll go ahead and take out these three Torx for the actuator mechanism. Now, there's a solid bar that goes from the handle down into the locking mechanism or the latching mechanism. So we pull the latching mechanism out. We need to do that in a way that gets the bar out of here so we can take the whole assembly out with that bar up here. So the only kind of tricky part is when we put the new handle back in with the bar attached, is as we put this latching mechanism back in place, is making sure that that bar goes into the correct spot. So it's not real difficult, it's just one of those things you need to be careful about. So we'll go ahead and get started on that and we'll show you how it goes. So we're going to go ahead and loosen these nuts. You'll notice it goes in a little bit of an angle. Again, it's not terribly tight, but go ahead and just get them loose. Just makes your job a little easier later on if you've already kind of got the nuts a little loose. And you only need to leave one attached. Now, when you take it out, if you're careful, you don't want to really drop it down inside the door. You'll notice that the nut is flanged so that it'll stay on your socket just fine when you put it back in, as long as you're careful and you go up that way so that you keep it into your socket. All right, now we're gonna take a T30 Torx and start loosening these guys up. I always recommend on stuff like this that you do it kind of around. You just don't pull one all the way out. You kind of work it out a little bit at a time. It seems to always work a little bit better for me that way. All right, so we're going to leave the top one in and remove the bottom ones completely here. Notice we have the bars here from the door latch going into the door handle. So at this point, while we don't normally, when we're doing other work on the window, need to remove this, this is one that we do need to remove at this time because we've got to slide everything this way. So there's a little cap in here you need to pop off, and that'll get you access to the bolt underneath there so you can take the handle completely off. So a lot of people take this screw out. It's a regular Phillips screw, but a lot of people will go ahead and use a P2, but it's actually a P3 size screw, and so you're going to not mess it up as much if you go ahead and use the proper bit. But it's not in there very tight, so you can go ahead and use a P2 and get away with it if you're gentle. Then you'll notice that the mechanism has to slide. So it needs to slide that way to come out. So now that we've got that out, we can finish taking this out and pull the latching mechanism all the way out. Okay. All right, so now we've got the latching mechanism out, and it's down, and you can look in there and see where the bar attaches to the back side back here. So now we're going to take the nut off of the top off, and again kind of lay it down, pull it out gently so you keep the, oops, didn't quite get the nut completely off of there. So you keep the nut into the socket, and then the handle just works its way out, and you can see the bar coming out there that goes down into the latching mechanism there. So what's happened here is the spring has come loose, and it's not operating the way we'd like it to, so we're going to go ahead and replace that. All right, so you're going to take the bar out of the old one. So the easiest way to do it is just get a flathead screwdriver, kind of twist and pry and push at the same time, and that'll get that loose from there so you can take it out of the old unit. So now the deal is to put it into the new one. All right, so on the replacement part, the attachment, the plastic attachment piece was a little small, and so we just swapped out the attachment piece out of the old one so as it would fit the bar on the new one, and then it slides in just nicely like that. So it goes in real nice. You'll notice that because of the orientation, there's no real way to get this bar in backwards, because anyway you put it between there and there, it's got to go in this way. So this will be properly aligned. We just have to make sure that we get it put back into the latching mechanism. So now we're just going to go ahead and insert the latch, get it back in there, get the holes and the bolts aligned. Okay, so very carefully again, we're going to put the, start the nut, and we're going to go in and get it started. Again, if we kind of keep it angled up a little bit, that'll allow it to stay in the socket. We won't end up dropping it down in the door. So I'm just going to put the one nut on there for now. You can see that the handle works much better than it did before. So now we've got to get the attachment put together inside the door here. If I can pull this out just a little bit, you can see that that bar goes down into this spot right there, and that's what activates that. Now I'm going to take just a minute and just kind of clean off this with just a little bit of paper towel before I put it back in, just so it works a little better. But this is where that bar goes, and so you notice that it's not going to be too hard to make sure we get it in there, but we just have to make sure it goes in. So when you put it back together again, remember that your attachment clip needs to be on this side of the your little arm bar here. And when you insert it down here, again, it's easiest if you've got some play in here to play with. So you can reach back in here and grab the bar. Okay, come on. Where did the bar go? Oh, there it is. Okay. So you can reach back in here and grab the bar, kind of guide it down. There we go. Okay, kind of guide it down, and then you kind of have to play with it a little bit to make sure you get it into this one here. And without this being a little bit loose, it's hard to get it into the right slot in here. You just have to feel it. And having that just a little bit loose gives you just enough play on this guy here to where you can make it work. And so now you'll see that we're in down there, and now we can come around here on this side and put the handle in, and we've got the bar down in there. So at this point, it really doesn't matter whether you tighten this up first or this, but you may have to do a little bit of an adjustment on this to make sure the door closes properly. Okay, so we're just going to get these torques just started, get them in just a little bit to hold everything kind of in place, and then we'll slowly start assembling everything. So while it's still loose, we're now going to, so we're just holding on here, we're still loose here. We're going to put the interior handle back in place. Again, you can see it has 3 spots and 3 hooks on the back side here. So just put it back. Make sure you get all of them in place. And then you just need to slide that forward till it clicks, and that'll solidify that. So now we'll start working back and forth on the different bolts here. So we're going to get these a little tighter. Okay, so again, it's still kind of loose there. You can kind of see it still wiggle around, so we got some movement there. I'm now going to tighten up this handle here so as that we have the both nuts on there. Again, when you put it in, make sure you kind of hold it down as you work it onto the screw. All right, so now we've got the handle in, and the screws kind of loose in here, just kind of a little bit snug. We've got the screws down here on the latch mechanism, and we've got the door handle put back in place. So there it is. You can see it's good and solid now. So now we'll just go ahead and start tightening things up and making sure we've got alignment so that the door closes easily. This can be adjusted a little bit here, and the plate can be adjusted a little bit, but we'll just see where we're at. But before we start closing things, we do want things a little tighter, just so that we don't have any real problems. Just kind of tighten those up. And let's see how the door does. Well, so it looks like the plate might need to come out just a little bit. So we'll adjust that a little bit later. It looks like this lock plate has to come out just a touch in order to get that to be solid. but that's another video, and you guys can do that. You just loosen the 2 bolts, just kind of reposition a little bit and shut it a couple of times, and it'll take care of itself. All right, so now you just have to put the door back together again, the vapor barrier, everything in the reverse order that we showed you, and you should be good to go. Thank you very much for watching this video. We hope it's been helpful. Please give us a subscribe and a thumbs up. It really helps us on being able to provide these videos for you.